866-977-4820 is the number. Let's go to the phone lines. We got Brian online in New Tampa. Brian, welcome to the Chris Markowski Show. Brian, you there?
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Well, I think I was calling about banks, but I do want to say something about this mass transportation. I mean, it's definitely going to bring jobs. It's going to help save the environment.
No, it's not. No, it's not. How is it, Brian, first and foremost, how is it going to save the environment?
Fewer cars on the road.
Really? You weren't listening a little while earlier, okay? I'm going to go do the math with you once again, okay? We'll do the math once again. We did it with airplanes, okay? High-speed intercity trains travel at 250 miles an hour. They're most competitive in distances of less than 500 miles. Now, the government studied the corridors, the 12 corridors with 500 miles or less with the most daily air traffic. Los Angeles to San Francisco led the list. 13,838 passengers. In total, 52,934 with all corridors. If all of them switch trains, the number of airline passengers, okay, about 2 million a day, would drop only 2.5%. Any fuel savings would be less than that because trains need fuel. It is what it is. You take a look at the most traveled corridor in the country, which is the Northeast Corridor. And it's nothing. So it's not going to save the environment by any stretch of the imagination. All right?
Well, it will if they build more of it. If you expect it to run the numbers the way the train capacities are now.
We don't. No, it's not. No, it's not. Unless we decide to burn down every suburb in the country and force everyone into the cities where we have completely different demographics like they have in Europe, it will not work. If it would work, Brian, Amtrak would make money. And Amtrak has never made money.
Well, the problem with Amtrak, and the reason it's never made money, is because the government hasn't put enough money into it. They need to invest billions more into Amtrak.
Where? What do you mean they haven't put enough money into it? All we do is we keep dumping money into it. How would you improve Amtrak?
You have to spend more money. You have to spend money to make money. You spend about, I would say, close to conservatively about $20 billion a year more for the next 5 years, $100 billion more.
And do what? And do what? And do what? What would you spend it on?
They need to lay more tracks. They need to build more cars.
Right.
Hire more
sure.
people.
Hire more people. Do you know that we subsidize many lines here in this country upwards of $200 a passenger? That's because there's not enough people riding it.
Because they don't have enough rail miles.
There's not enough people riding. What are you talking about?
Let me say something else, too, and this is why government definitely needs, the federal government and the state governments definitely need to get involved in this high-speed rail, because of 100 years ago, 130 years ago, the train companies were privately owned, and they dominated the American economic landscape, and the last thing in the world we need are a bunch of privately held train lines where we're all of a sudden under the thumb of these large, greedy corporate pigs.
Because
Brian,
Brian.
That way the man's going to keep
Brian,
the guy down.
Brian, you're right. You're right, though, Brian. You're right. Sure, you're right. The government runs things so efficiently, don't they? Yeah, they run things great.
They're not trying to step on the little guy because
I know. Brian, who stepped on you today? Brian, who stepped on you today? Who stepped on you today? Did Starbucks step on you today? Did Delta Airlines step on you today? Who stepped on you today? Come on.
Let me tell you, when the man comes up to me and says, "You're going to do this and you're going to do that,"
who's the man? Who is the man? Who is the man, Brian? Who is the man? Your boss?
I got to tell you who the man is. If you don't know who the man is,
Brian, what do you do for a living, Brian? What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm between.
You're between. What did you do before? You're between jobs.
Well, I was going to school, but
going to school. Where? Where'd you go to school? No. Yes, it does.
I'm trying to get on disability.
I am trying to get perspective, okay, about where you're coming from. What did you do before you're unemployed right now? What did you do before then?
I never really could find the career I wanted. But
so you've never had a job?
Well, I mean, you like a paying job?
Well, what other types of jobs are there?
Well, there's labors of love. There's things you do because you feel passionate about it. There's things that you do that aren't for money.
How do you eat, Brian? Brian, how do you
live my life?
So Brian, what you're saying is what you would suggest is you can go on with your labors of love. Should we just pay for you so you can go ahead and you can do all that stuff? Should I have to write a check to you, Brian, so you can go on and do your hobbies?
You don't have to pay for anything, Chris.
Really? Who does?
Up a little bit
okay,
more.
But who pays for society? Who pays society except the capitalists out there that are actually making the money? Where does the money?
Capitalists want to hold a check over your head and tell you how to do things, and I look them right in the eye and I say, "You're the man. I'm a little guy. You're not
Brian,
telling me what to do. I don't need your stinking money."
This is Brian. You don't. How do you eat? You don't. Where do you get your food? Where do you get your food? Where do you get your car?
Tannis.
Where do you get your place to live?
Tannis.
Huh?
Tannis.
From where?
Tannis.
Hannah's.
Temporary aid for needy families. It's like a debit card.
Okay, so basically, these same capitalists, the same man that you're making fun of right now, pays for you.
No, he's not right.
Really?
Friday.
Who is? Who's paying for you, Brian?
Society looking out for everybody.
But who
else
pays for society? Who pays for society? Who pays the bills? Who pays the bills, Brian? I'm just asking you a question.
You let the private train owners come around again, and don't come crying to me, Chris.
But you know what, Brian? You're not going to have to worry about it, Brian, because the man is going to end up paying for your train ticket. You're going to get some sort of government subsidy so you can ride the train. Once again, I wish more liberals would call up. I really do. I mean, it's fantastic when they call up. I mean, you just see. I mean, Michael Savage is right. It really is. It's a mental disorder. It is an. I gotta take a break. Callers, Cleet, Dave, the rest of you, be patient. We're gonna get to your phone calls in a minute here. Wow, that was fantastic.